All right, this one is for my veterans who are looking to build a home in Florida. I'm currently going through the process myself on the finishing stretches of it. I have been, oh my God, after trying to move here and then making the decision to also build a house afterward, like it is insane. I had a lot of great things that I loved about it, but also some extremely bad decisions I have made. In this video, I'm going to go over everything I have learned in my experience building a home in Florida. And also, if you are a veteran, hey, VA loan. I'm currently using the VA build loan. It's awesome, but man, I wish I knew a lot more before I jumped into it. And we're going to get to it in right now. All right. So it was obviously COVID pushed a lot of us to move from places we were currently at. I've talked to a lot of people when it comes to getting out of the military and coming here. And all of us initially, especially as veterans, hear of this mystical VA build loan. And we're like, oh, you know what? I need to do this. This is the thing. This is what's going to set me up for success in Florida. And sure, it's an awesome thing. If you have any level of disability, you can have a 0 down build loan. Does that mean you put no money down? Absolutely not. So when I initially got my thing, all I had to put was $5,000 down for a builder's deposit. Obviously, funding fees apply to that, but you can rope those into the loan. But in terms of cash out of pocket, I only had $5,000 out of pocket. But because the builder had a 4% concessions coming back to me, and I went to use that. Obviously, I'm an agent. I can find the lot myself. I chose not to go with the community. So technically, when you buy a new construction home inside one of those master communities, that's technically a build loan. Okay, and it's usually the same for everyone because they set it up pretty normally. Now, I'll tell you, I didn't want to live in a community. I don't like HOAs. I despise them. I get why they exist for condos and townhomes, but I want to live in my own gosh darn house, and I don't need an extra layer of people telling me what to do. So that's why I went with building a home. My wife, we came here, we looked around, we're like, yep, we're moving here, this is happening. And then after a little bit, she's like, you know what? I want what I couldn't have in California, where she's from. I'm originally from New York, hopped around a lot of places. You know how that military life is. And when we came here, we're like, all right, you know what? Being the good person I was, they're like, all right, let's get you what you couldn't have in California, which is building a gosh darn house. And we weren't even 30 yet. And at that time, I was like, all right, let's do it. And that was about a year and a half ago. Okay. I will tell you, when you looked over the whole United States, it usually takes about 2 years to build a custom home. When you're not building in a community, it can take up to 9 months. Sometimes 12, depending on how big the home is and the plans and how custom they let you go. But generally, it's less than a year to build that home once they break ground. Now, when you're building custom, not in a community, it can take up to 2 years is the average I've been told of people way smarter than me. Even though obviously I am a real estate agent, I do this every single day. Obviously, this process is super confusing. And also, obviously, when it comes to building a home in Florida, I'm more than happy to lend you my expertise to kind of give you that guidance and insight. Because I've been there, I've done it, made a lot of mistakes, and I love doing this every single day. So if you're looking to get that insight for someone who not only is a professional in the space, but is actually going through this process myself, there's so many people that are saying, I know how to do the build loan and this and that. No, you freaking don't, because you've never gone through it. And there's a lot of ins and outs that go on every single day. And it's not just about what the qualifications are. It's also about what builder you're choosing. How are you building? What stresses go along with that? I've learned it all. Promise you. It's been a rough year and a half. So his number popping up below is how you can get a hold of me and the team. Call, text, email, or you can schedule a Zoom call down below. We can have that conversation. It's just a free conversation to just talk about what you're trying to do. Does it make sense? The pros and cons to that situation. There's a lot that goes into building a home. It's not just about saying, hey, we're going to do this. Because you not only have to qualify, but you really have to be able to handle the emotional stress that goes with it. So you can reach out to me. Happy to have that conversation. Now, we're going to assume you're not building in a community. And that's what I didn't do. So it was a couple years ago, a year and a half ago, it'll be 2 years this fall, in November. And we started looking for a lot. We got approved for the build loan. We went through a company who I will leave nameless right now because they're still building it. But we wanted to go with a special build that was steel construction, and we wanted to jump into that process because my wife really wanted the steel concept, but they also loved how the home was built, and like we have a patio on top, all this and that. We didn't go full custom, right? We still went with the biggest plan that they had, and everything seemed to be going good. And then the next step, obviously, we put $5,000 down for a builder's deposit. Got our 4% closing costs, and we started looking for a lot. And the hard thing is like you get approved for everything, and now you gotta look for a lot. And that time, a couple years ago, it was so hard to find land because they were charging a premium for it, even here in Florida. We ended up getting lucky. The builder ended up buying 4 lots in a row, and they were like, hey, we'll sell you one at cost. So whatever we paid for it, that's what you give us just so we can get this process rolling. I'm like, hey, amen. I love that. Let's get this started. So started the process, and everything seemed to be going fine. Permits got approved last year. We went through the process of, so actually backtrack. As you can see, a lot's happened. So when you use a build loan, it's like qualifying for a normal loan. Okay, VA build loan, just all that really changes is how many times you close on the property and how it works like logistically. But it's actually one of the more simpler ways to build a home. You're not putting a massive down payment. The bank is taking a huge risk though, so you are going to have some stringent qualifications to qualify. But obviously put down either a funding fee or in this case I had a builder's deposit just to show some faith in the project. And you close once on the property, and then technically you refinance to a regular VA loan at the end. But I will tell you, like mine did, when it has gone this long, I have gone through 2 different requalification processes. So checking my debt, checking my income, making sure I still qualify at the higher rates. So when you start your VA build loan, you're in a position where you have to decide, are you locking your rate? I chose not to. At that time, it was already freaking expensive to be moving to Florida. I did not have the $6 to $8 grand to lock in my rate. Do I wish I had it? Sure, I do. But at the same time, it is what it is. And now when the home closes, I'll be at whatever 6-7% rate that we're at. Hopefully not worse, but it could be at that, okay? So you choose to pay that money up front. Now, should I? Yeah, I should have found a way to make that money come out of you know where. But it's all right. It is what it is. I know eventually I'll get a chance to redo it. I'm not too concerned. It is what it is. I'm a big boy, make big boy decisions, live in my decisions. But you do get the chance to lock your rate. Obviously right now, rates are already freaking high. It probably doesn't mean anything if you were to lock rates this year, right? Just let it float, whatever. And when I mean let it float, it means as I go up and down, when you finish, refinance that property, the home is built, then you get your interest rate. But obviously when rates are lower, you would have had the opportunity to lock it lower. And sure, if for some reason the rates are lower, that option is still going to be presented to you. Right now, when it comes to builders, that's the big thing you have to look for is who is a VA approved builder. And all it really is they put in the qualifications to get approved by the VA. That's really all it is. There's nothing special. So, and you can go on the VA website and they'll be able to direct you to like things like that, or you can reach out to me. I'm happy to kind of work through that process. You need to make sure you have a lender that has connections that can do that. I do. If you need any, I have several because I never go with one. You always get multiple opinions if you do need direction on that. But you reach out to a lender that you trust, has people who have the VA loan build product, because not all banks do, because it is high risk. And once you find them, find the builder, you know how much you can qualify for, you work with the builder, you get your plans in place. My builder already had generic plans that they had built in the county. So it was easy for me. I was like, yep, I'm going to use those plans because I thought I was going to shave off some build time. I did not, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. And it put me in a situation where, all right, ready to go, plans are approved. So once you get the plans approved in your budget, you and the builder agree, this is what you have to pay for, closing costs. You find the lot, you get the lot, it gets surveyed, making sure it's not flooding, if there is flooding, insurance and things like that. And then you officially close, right? You qualify for the loan, you go through like your typical 30, 45 day closing process. Now you own the land, but it's contingent on that house being built. So builder puts in the permits for the county that where you're at. And it could take a couple months right now for your permits to get approved. During that time, you're just twiddling your thumbs. Once those permits get approved, then boom, your builder starts working with other contractors to get the lot cleared, to level it, to prepare it for framing, to do everything that's in your process. And not all builders do that in-house. Some things will be hired out to other companies, and it's your responsibility. Now, if you use an agent when it comes to building your lot, let's say you're not here physically in the state, it's important to reach out to someone like myself who's an agent, because if we help you find that lot, like any good agent, like my team, like we will stick with you through that whole process. So even if you're not here or you want to take a vacation with the family, be like, hey Cameron, looking for an update. No worries, I'm stopping by the lot every week or every other week, depending what's going on. Taking pictures, sending pictures, hey, this is what's going on, helping you kind of work that out. Ultimately though, you as the consumer who's having the home built are responsible for yelling at people or getting stuff done. But agents are here, we're here to help you work through that process. It's a little stressful. So really, it's the issues that involve building are supply shortages, right? If inflation, prices go up for a certain type of product or wood, and now you have to restructure your budget. There's a lot of things that happen between when that home is built. I told you the average build time is 2 years across the nation for getting a home that's not built in a community, because it's just one house. Builders don't make serious money building one physical house. They make a lot of money. That's why Lennar and all these big builders, they just build communities. They don't build individual houses for regular people, right? Come on now. So that's where the stress comes in. And I'm telling you that if you're looking to move into a state within a reasonable time, it's not usually the best decision. It's stressful. And if you own a home, that mortgage is going to hurt against you qualifying for the new build, right? Or if you're renting, it can be worked out, but still it gets a little stressful. And you're not going to be getting a deal on the house. You're going to be paying top price for that house. It's a new build. You're paying for whatever the materials cost at the time. And I'll tell you like my story. So I went through a situation where the lot got cleared, the foundation got prepped, plumbing got installed, and then crickets. Things just stopped. And I'm like, what the heck? This is last summer. Like, what the heck happened? Nothing, bad communication. Finally, things picked back up in the fall. What the heck happened? What is going on? There was an issue between the builder and general contractor. I don't know what happened. Unfortunately, I'll never know, right? I wasn't the only one affected. A lot of people got affected. They finally got a new general contractor, but then you have to go through the process of getting recertified by the county, getting the bank to sign off on the new general contractor. Like everything gets redone paperwork-wise, delay. And yet here I am finally starting to make progress on the home again. But look, those are things you deal with when it comes to building a home. Now, do I think that there's a lot of issues that shouldn't have happened? Absolutely. But I made the choice to choose this company. And I had the choice to walk away, find a way to walk away, or continue to push forward. And that's where I'm at right now with it. And it'll be okay. Everything will work out. But that's the things that I always tell people when it comes to building a home is you need to be aware of what's going on and what you're getting into. Because building a home is not for the faint of heart. Or they build something and you're like, whoa, that is not what we agreed on. What is going on with that? Or they build something and you want to change it. Every change has major consequences. So you have to be very comfortable with what's going on. And that's why a lot of people who reach out by using the VA build loan, it's a hot topic right now. Everyone's like, oh, housing prices are expensive. Just build a freaking house. 9 out of 10 people should not build a house. I am firmly aware of that. If we were to look back several years ago building a house, we probably would have said no. Not that we couldn't, but I much rather would have just bought a house and then maybe when the kids are a little bit older, gone through this process. Because being in a very floating situation with 3 young kids, no bueno. It's not a good situation. But hey, like I said, you make the decision, you lie with it. So you have to be aware of what you're getting into, which is why you can always talk to someone like me because I've been there and I'm doing that. And I can tell you, I know it's going to be worth it when the end result is there. The house is in a great location. The lot didn't flood when the hurricanes last year came through. Like, it is a good lot, and the location is solid, which my investor brain loves that. But at the same time, it's going to be a great home for our kids. Might need a fence. Sure, I'm going to have to build a fence around it and all that. That's fine. But it's going to be a location that's central, so it allows me good for work. But I know it's going to be it's like a 2,500 square foot home. It's going to be great for my family. Going from a condo in California years ago to when this is completed, we're going to be finalizing everything. And being in a home that's 2,500 square foot, that's awesome, right? Brand new, 5-bed, 3-bath. It's crazy. It's crazy to think like that's how much a difference it made. But that's also why, like I said, you have to be aware of what you're getting into. Because I could have gotten close to that. And honestly, in this market, I could get the same size of home for cheaper. Maybe with a pool. My home's not even going to have a pool. I'm going to have to pay for that separately a couple years down the road. And it's unfortunate because my wife really wants a pool, but it wasn't in the budget. So it's a little bit of regret with what we did. But at the same time, look, it's one of those things where we're still grateful that we get to learn this experience because now I get to share with people like you about this process. Because even if you're not a veteran and you're looking to build a home, when you leave a community, there's a lot of risk that gets put on you. And you have to be comfortable with who the company is you're going through to build it. Is it within your budget? What are the risks? And it's really the emotional stress that gets most people, right? There's always a financial way to get out of it. Like you'll be okay. It's the stress of having to deal with that, especially if you have kids and things like that. So I don't know if it's something that a young couple should do. So if you're like us and you're probably younger, I don't know if I recommend it because you're really going to be going through some serious stress with it. When in reality, you just want to get on with living your life. You're young, you have energy, like you just want to get on with it. And, that's why I tell a lot of people I had, this year alone, I've had multiple meetings, especially with veterans who are moving to Florida. And they're like, look, Cameron, I want to build a home. And we sit down, we talk about everything like, hey, this is the reality, this is what you do. And at the end of almost all those conversations, the solution is, wow, you're right. Maybe we'll look at this in the future because you're moving to Florida. get established first. Like maybe we should get a home and get established first, and maybe 3 to 5 years down the future, build up some equity in the home, and then we can boom, really build that dream house. We're gonna know what area where we want to live in. We're gonna be certain about what we want to do with our family, and that is when I think you should look at building a home. But if you're like me and you want to take the risk because hey, what's a little risk? Someone has to take it. Then by all means do it. Just make sure you get the right information from the right people, because I have seen so often, it's like the hot topic. You're like, build a house with VA, build a house with VA. It's just freaking money. Sure, I'll be honest. Let's say you reach out to me, I'll help you build a lot. I don't make jack squat on helping people buy land. I do it because I understand it. I went through it. But you have to understand that for most people, it doesn't make sense. So forcing you to do something that just doesn't make sense for most people, it just brings a world of problems on you that you probably don't need. So I hope this video gave you value and insight using the VA build loan. Obviously, it gets very technical. There's a lot of things that go into it. So the number popping below is how you can get a hold of me. Call, text, email, or you can schedule a Zoom call down below. I'm happy to have this conversation, kind of work through if it makes sense for you, does it make sense, what areas you're looking at in the state, and everything in between. So I hope you got value in this video. Look forward to seeing you in the next one.